I'm Brian Dowell, a local realtor here in South Jersey, and this is my hometown of Haddonfield, New Jersey. I'm going to take you on a short driving tour today to show you why so many people love to call this place home. The reason for this video is to show you a little bit of insight around the nuances that help make this town so special. Haddonfield was founded in the late 1800s. It's full of rich history and beautiful architecture. We have a few main roads that lead us into town: Grove, Chews Landing, Warwick, and Kings Highway. Kings Highway is our main street. It's filled with great restaurants and local shopping boutiques. Though the town was founded as a dry community, we have since incorporated a brewery, a winery, and a distillery. In this tour, we're going to go over some of the neighborhoods and what they're comprised of. A few other things that make this town so desirable are our great schools, the proximity to Philadelphia. We're right around the corner from some great shopping. We have access to the highways, the Jersey Shore. We're on Grove heading into Haddonfield, coming off of Route 70. Made the turn right there at Aldo's. It's probably one of the most popular ways to come into Haddonfield from the city of Philadelphia, because 70 comes directly off the Ben Franklin Bridge. So as we pull into town here on Grove, this is one of the main streets that we spoke about. So what we're going to do is we're going to start here on this side of town. We're going to head all the way over to Warwick, to where Tavistock Country Club is, then work our way back. So as we travel up Grove here, off to the right is the Farwood section, which was originally farmlands. I believe it was an orchard, then was developed into a lot of mid-century ranchers, and as of late has become popular with a lot of developers buying these small ranchers and then either making them new construction or putting a second floor on them. So you have a lot of newer construction mixed in with some mid-century ranchers. Like I said, we're gonna kind of work our way back to this area, kind of go through the neighborhoods a bit more to show you some of those ranchers and new construction. You have some older homes here right on Grove from the late 1800s. Now we're at the intersection of Grove and Maple, and if we were to make a right here and go down Maple, it dumps you off into Hadden Township, which is great because that's the beginning of Hadden Ave, where all the restaurants are. If you make a quick left, you're at G. Morella's, and if you continue right, you go to everyone's favorite dive, Brewers, and then down to the Poorhouse, Trino, Tacanelli's just opened, and Keg and Kitchen. Have Schaefer's building a new house here off to the right. That house was just knocked down not too long ago. And off to the left, we have Hopkins Pond and Pennypacker Park, which is a great little hike there. It takes you through to Cherry Hill, and then it's a loop around. It is you could run a full 5K there. It's a little over 3 miles to do that loop. This section of town does go to Dowell, which we'll show you a little bit later. All right, so now we are turning on the Kings Highway, where we started this video, from Grove, making a right, and it's taking us down into the town center, as this part of town is called, but this is also our main street here. So you have a lot of little shops mixed in. A fun fact, there is a section of the street where only boutique shops can be located. They're not allowed to lease to any major chains or brands, so it keeps that hometown feel. And again, this Kings Highway, it's a great strip with some great restaurants, great shopping. They do events quite often throughout the year here on Kings Highway. Plenty of parades, candlelight shopping during the holiday season, First Friday events, just a lot to bring the community together. They shut down the street during the Phillies World Series run. They were actually projecting the game here on Kings Highway. See some of the beautiful architectures, beautiful churches, Masonic temple. Then as we cross over the PATCO here, this is the Haddonfield station, which takes you directly into Center City, Philadelphia. Then we're going to turn onto another one of the main streets that we talked about that comes into town from the White Horse Pike, Warwick. We're going to head out to the opposite edge of Haddonfield, and then work our way back. So as we turn down Warwick, you'll see the street has a lot of beautiful older colonial homes with a lot of characteristics and architectural beauty. There is no specific historic district within Haddonfield, but there are homes that are governed by historic regulations, the historic homes regulations, as they're on the historic home registry. But again, it's not a specific part of town, it's just kind of a case-by-case basis. There's been popular articles about the purple house in Haddonfield that is here on Warwick. We're actually about to just pass by it on the left here. All right, so we are turning onto Tavistock Boulevard from Warwick. This is the very edge of town. Tavistock is its own little town within Haddonfield. Reason they did that was so that the country club could serve alcohol. Haddonfield is a dry town, though we are starting to mix in a few brewery. We have a brewery now, a winery, and a distillery is opening soon. May already be open by the time you see this video. But off to the right here is Tavistock Country Club. Excellent course. I'm a big golfer. Does not have a pool. It's pretty much just a country club and restaurant. Great for events. A good spot here in town. They offer social memberships as well as obviously full golf memberships. Now we turn down Washington Ave. Washington Ave runs from Kings Highway all the way down to the edge of town here. But what we're turning onto right now is Lane of Acres, which is one of the most expensive streets in South Jersey. As you'll see, we're surrounded by some massive homes, a few older homes mixed in. It's popular that the homes get bought here, knocked down, and then we have some new big luxury, beautiful homes on this street. It's called Lane of Acres because each lot is an acre plus. This is one of the most prestigious streets to live on in town. The house to the left here is one of my favorites with the cedar shake. So again, Lane of Acres is an incredible street. It's also a street that if you have young children, or if you just really enjoy Halloween, to make sure you stop here on Halloween, as they're known to have a great setup for both children and adults. But really just some incredible homes on this street. The now left side backs up to the country club, so you do get some beautiful views. My least favorite par 3 is probably hole 16. I end up in their backyards every once in a while. So now once we get outside of Tavistock itself, we are into what's called the Gill Tract. So the Gill Tract has larger lots and generally bigger homes. These homes go to the elementary school, as we discussed. There's 3 elementary schools at Haddonfield. These homes go to the Central. Currently on Winding Way, which it's cool because this little pocket of Haddonfield has a lot of hills, and it feels a little bit more like you're, eastern Pennsylvania than New Jersey. The house here on the right at the time of this video, which is February 2023, just settled last month for $3.875. Also new construction by one of the popular builders in Haddonfield, Kelly Builders. Designed by Tom Wagner. Tom Wagner's the architect that does most of the work in Haddonfield. Yeah, so that was actually supposed to be 2 lots, and then decided that the planning board decided it needed to be 1 lot, as it is the entry to Haddonfield, so they wanted it to be an impressive home. All right, yeah, so down Upland Way, we have, the 3 major sports teams, obviously the Eagles. Again, at the time of this video, we're headed to the Super Bowl, go Birds. The Flyers and the Sixers, and this is kind of the area where they focus on when moving to Haddonfield. Now, Upland Way takes us down to Wedgwood, which is the local swim club. If you are looking to join the swim club, get on the list now. There's generally a few-year wait to join it, and you'll see it's right up here on the right, Wedgwood. Great pool, very popular, has a couple tennis courts and a playground as well. So again, just turned off of Upland Way. We're in the parking lot of Crow's Woods, which is a nature park, as well as has some recreational facility that the town uses. And for dog lovers, they have a dog park in the corner. The other great thing about Haddonfield is that everything is walkable. So you can walk from one part of town to the other very easily, no matter where you live. I would say it's and how fast you walk. I would say it's no more than a 25-minute walk to the center of town. We're heading back up Upland Way. And one of the things to consider as we see the new construction throughout town, there are 6 different zones in Haddonfield. And each zone has its own rules around what can be constructed, impervious coverage, the size and lot requirements. So it's important to know that, one, if you're building new construction, but 2, if you're planning on making improvements to the ground, such as a deck or a pool, any impervious coverage, you want to know which zone you're in, what the requirements are, and if it's doable. A lot of Haddonfield is, considering the size of the houses and the lots, you cannot put a pool. So if a pool's an important thing to you, make sure you're searching in the right lot. But again, that's kind of the important, it's not kind of, it is the important part of having an agent that knows this town and the requirements, because there's just little different nuances throughout town that can make a difference in your home. So we're shooting over, we're on Oak right now. I'm going to head over to Choose Landing Road just so you can kind of see what it looks like coming down Choose Landing from the Barrington Haddon Heights area on Route 30, the White Horse Pike, coming into town that way. And that kind of puts us on the further corner, working our way back in. We'll hit Kings Highway again and then head back towards the center of town. All right, so we're making a right on to Choose Landing from Oak, which is the last street before you leave Haddonfield, but now we're entering Haddonfield. Some really impressive homes on the street, some people that have done some fantastic landscape design and architectural upgrades to their houses. Okay, so now from Choose Landing, we're going to make a right on Kings Highway and then a quick left onto West End. And as we do that, we are leaving the Central School District, which we'll come to revisit, and we're heading into the Elizabeth Hadden Elementary School District territory. So Elizabeth Hadden is also known as Lizzie Hadden. It's the Blue Ribbon Elementary School here in town. This section has a lot of older homes, late 1800s, early 1900s. So as we head down West End, if you continue this way, it's going to take you to Crystal Lake, which is Hadden Township. Elizabeth Hadden section of Haddonfield at one point actually was Hadden Township. So when we make the left on Redmond here, a block up is the elementary school. So this elementary school obviously has beautiful architecture. It is our Blue Ribbon school, but in addition to that, it has a wonderful playground and recreation facilities that if you're here on the weekends, you'll see a lot of parents and children playing on the playground, a great place to meet people, hang out, as well as the adults and older kids playing basketball on the basketball courts on this back side here. So Redmond is the street that we came in on, so it's the school is between Redmond and Mount Vernon Avenue. Okay, so we have a lot of older construction, some newer construction mixed in, and then some people that just did some really, really nice upgrades to their home. It is important to note in these older homes, something that wasn't so popular before but is now more popular, and a good agent has always known this, that you want to make sure that if you're purchasing an older home, you do have an oil tank scan to check underground and make sure there's no oil tank, or ask the seller if they have records of an oil tank or an oil tank being removed, and if they do, want some sort of guarantee, whether it's a no further action letter from the state or the company that removed it, showing that there is no tank, there's no further action taken, and you're not responsible. Reason being, we'll show you a quick clip of a historic property on Kings Highway. If they discover that the ground is contaminated with oil, it is a very, very, very costly repair. So the house on Kings Highway is actually a historic home. They had to lift it up, move the house over to the side. The oil tank was below the house. They're currently excavating everything. They'll put new clean dirt in and then put the house back, which for that property I'm sure was a couple $100,000. So just an important thing to take into consideration. Also, as we go through these older homes, the materials used for sewer line pipes has changed over the years. So it went from, oddly enough, the water pipe and sewer lines in Haddonfield at one point were actually made of wood. And then from there, it went to cast iron. There was a type of tar paper. And now today we use PVC. But with the trees in town, the older trees and these older cast iron sewer pipes or the tar paper, you want to make sure that you do a sewer line inspection so that there's no intrusions in your sewer line, because that's also a costly repair. But it's something that people don't think about because it's not something you visibly see. Sewer or plumbing company comes out and just sticks a scope down there and runs a video through and airdrops it to your phone so you can see what's going on. All right, now we're leaving the Lizzie and Hadden section, making a left onto Kings Highway, coming back down. We're crossing over the railroad tracks again, where the train station is that we passed a bit earlier. I mentioned that we do, even though Haddonfield is a dry town, we are now getting a few local areas for libations, I'll call it. So we have the brewery, the winery, and the distillery that's opening. The brewery and the winery are located at the intersection of Mechanic and Kings Highway. So it's a little alley that some locals like to nickname it Vice Alley. If it was a dry town, it's what I've heard some people throughout town call it. There's also a cigar lounge through there, a private club, and a cigar shop. We're turning right onto Hadden Ave just to circle back through the Giltrakt area and the central downtown area where everyone goes to Central. So when we drive down here, you'll see this is where we have the post office. Also throughout town, we have the Haddonfield Open Sculpture Trust, and that is just a bunch of little statues that are scattered throughout town that we have fun decorating. Right now, the mailman statue in front of the post office has an Eagles jersey on it. It's an Acme here in town. And this is Hadden Ave, is another way to come into town from Cherry Hill. And it continues out through Hadden Township and all the way out to 130 through Collingswood. Turning on to Lincoln Ave, so at the corner of Lincoln and Walnut is the Markheim Arts Center. They have art on design or art on display, as well as they do a few events there, and you can purchase some art through the Markheim Arts Center, primarily local artists. And up here a block is the Central School, which is the elementary. There's an elementary school, but also it's the middle school for the entire town. Big building. All of the schools have similar architecture. Now we're making a left onto Washington. Washington is one of the most impressive streets to go down during Halloween. I'll try to mix in some videos and content that I have from Halloween, but I mean, these houses go all out. It's many old Victorian homes with beautiful wraparound porches, and it's incredible to see them done at Halloween. And then again, it's another great spot to come walk, bring your kids through. Everyone hands out full-size candy bars for the most part, and they generally have a setup for the adults as well. It's really one of the most well-known streets here in Haddonfield. Another street that's very desirable to live on. So right now, the direction that we're heading is back towards Tavistock Country Club, where we were at the beginning of this video. We're going to make a left onto Upland Way, again where the players live, and then we're going to go back through to the Rileywood section and show you Mountwell Park. All right, so we are heading up Center from Upland. Again, we turned around on Center before Upland turns into Center. But as we go up, you'll see that we're in this wooded area. This is known as Mountwell Park. So Mountwell Park has a couple of fields and again another playground. The interesting part about this playground is it's kind of like a community playground where people bring toys and leave them there for others to use. It's kind of a cool little community area. You can see them scattered out throughout the area. Again, this is just that center part of town neighborhood here. And as we travel up to Lakeview Ave, we'll see the public tennis courts. So there's a couple sets of public tennis courts throughout Haddonfield. This is the most popular one. I've been here on a Saturday morning. And it's crowded, and if you don't know what you're doing, they will let you know. It's very competitive. But it's very nice. I think there's 6 courts back there and public restrooms, and that's where the high school practices as well and competes. All right, so now we're heading out of the central part of Haddonfield, making a left back on the Hadden Ave, driving past the post office, across Kings Highway, and then into the section of town that's known as the Estates. The Estates go to the 3rd elementary school in town, which is Dowell. As we cross over Kings Highway here, the fire station is on the right, and a little fun fact about the fire station is that it is the oldest volunteer fire station in the country. And as we travel down a little bit further, the library is on the left, the public library here in Haddonfield. They also do some events there. Black Friday, they do the tree lighting, as well as they have the high school choir sing some carols. There's some more commercial businesses right in this strip of Hadden Township as well, or right in this strip of Hadden Ave as well. So Hadden Ave runs essentially from Berlin, New Jersey, all the way out through Collingswood to Pennsauken on 130, and this strip is known for its restaurants. So again, Haddonfield's a dry town. As soon as you hit the Hadden Township border, you're greeted by PJ's, the first sports bar restaurant, and then as you head down through Hadden Township, there are some really great restaurants. And then beyond that, Collingswood is the following town. Collingswood's also a dry town, but is known for some of the best restaurants in South Jersey. So we're turning down Ardmore Ave, which is kind of towards the edge of town. PJ's is at the opposing side of Hadden Ave. PJ's is on a strip in Hadden Township. It's called PJ's Haddonfield, but it's actually in Hadden Township, and that's how they get away with having a bar. So this section is more of a planned neighborhood with, and I say that meaning that the lots are all pretty similar, squared off 50, this part of the 100 and 200 block of this street are all 50-foot wide lots. It's in a specific zone, and then beyond that, the lots get a bit bigger when we get into that Farwood section, which used to be the apple orchard. But these homes, you'll see the architecture is from the early 1900s. But again, the neat part about Haddonfield, or what makes it so valuable, is there's no place to really buy land and develop. So the older homes from time to time in this neighborhood as well get knocked down and then filled with some new construction. So we're going to end the tour here shortly. Again, we're on Maple Ave. If you recall from the beginning when we were at the corner of Grove and Maple Ave, if I were to make a left here, though making a right would take you into Hadden Township. We're going to head out to Grove, and then we'll drive by Tatum Elementary School, and then we'll head out Kings Highway back towards the other intersection of 70, and that's where we'll conclude the tour. That just shows you how accessible this town is. One thing that I didn't mention, or that we didn't drive by, is that right off of Chews Landing Road, heading towards Barrington and Hadden Heights, is 295. So from the furthest edge of town where we are right now, it's about a 10 minute drive to 295. But once you're on 295, you can get anywhere, further south or further north, or that way further south very quickly. Likewise, if you were to access Route 70 from either Grove Street here or Kings Highway, you're quick to hop on 295 at that point and then head north very easily. So if you have a commute to New York City, it's very accessible. This town is just in a great location for accessibility to major highway. We are heading back up Grove, back towards Kings Highway, but we're going to make this quick left here on the Glover. And Glover, that takes us past the 3rd elementary school that we discussed. J50 in Dowell goes by Dowell. Off here to the left. Then from here, this street turns into Evergreen. Evergreen's a cool street that I really like in town. It's like got this little cozy, comforting. Homes are close together, a lot of Dutch colonials. Narrow street, one side parking, but I just really enjoy this street. Primarily because I like Dutch colonials. And that's all that's on the street. It's just a charming street. So as we go up here, we're going to intersect with Kings Highway. This is also a great street with accessibility to both the school, but also to downtown. So we're going to go up here, Kings Highway. To the left is the high school, and then to the right is downtown Haddonfield. So we're going to make this left on the Kings Highway. And as we do that, we will be leaving Haddonfield. So Kings Highway, you come in from Cherry Hill, or you come in from Hadden Heights. So as we make this left, we have some historic buildings. On the left here, we have the Historical Society of Haddonfield, the house that I spoke about earlier that they were moving because of the oil tank. And then we have the beautiful high school. And now past the high school is the old Bancroft facility. Bancroft was founded here in Haddonfield. And that ground is being developed at some point, and it'll be interesting to see what it gets turned into. So now we're on the backside of Pennypacker Park, where it meets Kings Highway. And as we go over the end of the Cooper River here, we are exiting Haddonfield. So that pretty much concludes our tour. I hope that you found much value in this and that it helped you make your decision or find out some more information about moving to Haddonfield. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me directly. My information's below. My phone number is 609-560-2828. I really find a lot of joy in living in this town and love it here, and would hope that you would as well.